In this video, we'll be finding derivatives of inverse trig functions, specifically the arcsine and the arccosine. Now let's do the derivative of arcsine x first. We'll let y equal arcsine x, and then take the sine of both sides. So we have sine y is equal to sine of arcsine x. Now this is saying the sine of the angle whose sine is x. So we can draw a reference triangle for that. Remember that the sine is defined as opposite over hypotenuse. So for this angle to be the arcsine x, we would need the opposite side to be x and the hypotenuse to be 1. And then we know that y is the angle whose sine is x, so the angle then is y. Alright, so let's copy this left side. And then the sine of arcsine x is just x. Now we can differentiate. If we differentiate this left side, we'll get cosine y dy, and then the derivative of this right side is just 1 dx. So dy dx is equal to 1 divided by the cosine of y. Now we'll use our reference triangle to find the cosine of y. Cosine is defined as adjacent over hypotenuse, so I'm going to need to use Pythagorean theorem to get this adjacent side, and we know that it's the square root of 1 minus x squared. So now I can see that dy dx is equal to 1 over the cosine of this angle is root 1 minus x squared over 1, or root 1 minus x squared. So let me just write that then as a rule. The derivative of arcsine x is 1 over root 1 minus x squared. Now let's find our derivative of our cosine x. Again, we'll let y equal arc cosine x and find the cosine of both sides. Let's simplify this over here first. We have cosine y is equal to x, and then when we differentiate both sides, the derivative of cosine y is a negative sine y dy, and the derivative of x is just 1 dx. This gives us dy dx is equal to 1 over a negative sine y. Now let's get our reference triangle for y equal arc cosine x. Y is the angle whose cosine is x, so y is the angle, and the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so x over 1. So then we again need to find this side so that we can get our sine of y, and this side is going to be the square root of 1 squared minus x squared. So now we can make our substitution here. dy dx is equal to a negative 1 over, and then the sign is root 1 minus x squared. So writing that then as a rule, we can say the derivative with respect to x of arc cosine x is a negative 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared.